Hello and welcome. And welcome to a meditation session. Welcome to yourself. May you welcome yourself here in the meditation we're doing. And perhaps this expression of welcoming yourself is relatively novel in the context of meditation. So it represents a reframing, a kind of like a little switch in the mind. Oh, something a little different than business as usual, activity of the mind as usual, kind of different perspective. And in doing meditation, it's often useful to put a question mark after any kind of common way and perspective in which we see our lives, and to see things in a new way. And one of the interesting analogies for this is some of you might have had the experience of driving a car, maybe driving long distance, and so focused on the road that you don't notice that the windshield is steadily getting dirtier and dirtier. And then finally something happens, maybe a passenger points it out to you, and you shift your gaze from the road out there to a little bit to the windshield itself, and you say, sure enough, it's quite dusty, quite dirty, and then you clean it, start the car and you clean it, and lo and behold, it's amazingly clear. So the same way in meditation, we can be so concerned with our concerns that we don't see how we're concerned. We don't see the windshield through which we are looking, the filter through which we're looking at our concerns, our challenges, what's happening for us in our lives. And that can be internally with ourselves. We could be sick or have pain, some kind of inner distress, emotional difficulty. And it could be things externally. And in no way to diminish the value and importance of these challenges, maybe because they're important, it's valuable to really be clear, understand the nature of the filter through which we're seeing. The windshield. Driving safely is phenomenally important. And if the windshield is really all fogged up and dirty, maybe driving becomes dangerous. So there's a simple, but maybe not easy, way of looking at this, how we are. It has to do with, is the way in which we are concerned about anything, are we harder or softer? Are we more contracted or more open? Are we more assertive, involved, entangled, or are we more receptive, available, soft, ready? So this is something that we can feel and sense in the mind, in the mind's eye or the mind's way of perceiving. We can see that we're perceiving through a kind of hardness, through a kind of the seeing, the perception is soft. We're asserting, we're receptive, we are closed down, we're open. There's an ouch in how we're aware, or there's an ah. So today's meditation, I'll guide you into a little bit of this attention to how we're aware, not just what we're aware of. And it begins kind of immediately. It's kind of like all of meditation, in a sense, can be understood as a settling, opening of the how we are. So assuming a meditation posture, that the posture itself manifests a certain degree of embodied alertness. Even if you're laying down, and there's a way of adjusting the shoulder blades and the upper back, maybe letting shoulder blades kind of somehow let them come down the back and the chest to come out a little bit. If the feet are laid straight, to pull the feet up so that your knees are up closer to the ceiling, bent. And then gently closing the eyes and spending some good time at the beginning relaxing the body. The more relaxed we can become, the clearer we can see how we are aware, how we're concerned, how we attend. So taking a few long, slow, deep breaths and relaxing on the exhale. Relaxing the whole body. Relaxing the mind as you exhale. And then taking a few, then letting your breathing return to normal. And relaxing the muscles of your face. Almost as if the muscles gently fall away from the skull. Softening around the shoulders. Releasing the shoulders. And maybe a small adjustment in the hands where they are, their position can support softening of the shoulders. Softening the belly. And then in the most matter-of-fact, simple way, as if nothing is wrong, notice that if your body is bracing itself or pulled in tight anywhere or activated in a kind of upward direction, and if it is, on the exhale, soften all of that. And then taking a look at your mind, the mental activity, your thinking mind. Is that activated? Is it energetic and busy, fast thinking? Is it tight or narrow? And riding on the exhale, can you let the thinking mind soften, expand? Relaxing the source from which thinking arises. And now, calmly, become more fully aware of the body breathing. And notice how you're aware. Is how you're aware simple and relaxed? Or is there any strain or tightness, resistance? Any way in which you're aware, attitude with which you're aware, which has some form of ouch in it, something unpleasant. Or is there anything in how you're aware that has an that is pleasant or has a good feeling? Maybe awareness feels receptive or open, soft. Maybe there's a gentleness. How you're aware is like the windshield. Any way that the way you're aware that has any ouch in it, any stress or strain in it, that's the dust on the windshield. Relax, soften how you're aware. See if you can feel the in being aware. That's not dependent on being able to stay present continuously, but is dependent on whenever you come back to being aware, that you do so in an easy, relaxed way, as often as you can. would you characterize the way that you're aware? Is it more on the outside, more on the side? Are you aware in a way that you enjoy? If not, how can you shift how you're aware? To be more enjoyable. And one way to do that is to shift your attention away from your concerns, away from your attitudes. To the simplicity, relaxed, soft, receptive awareness. And then as we come to the end of this meditation, to check in with yourself again, to how you're aware. Are you aware through any filters of tension or strain or resistance? Any fear or desires? And if that has to be for now, can you relax around those ways? It's okay. It's okay to be how you are. And maybe that okayness is its own perspective, its own way of gazing upon yourself. And And in the same way, to gaze upon the world. It's okay. Whatever attitude you have or reaction you have to the world, it's okay. But in that okayness, is there a softer, more receptive way of being present for the world and others? What can you learn from meditation about a way of perceiving the world, being present for the world, that is beneficial, that's generous, that allows you to see things more clearly as they are? And perhaps for that way of seeing can be a channel for your goodwill, for your kindness, your care, your love. And maybe these words can carry your goodwill and love out into the world. May all beings be happy. May all beings be safe. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be safe. May all beings be free. Thank you. So, hello everyone, and it's kind of nice to begin speaking after having meditated a little bit with all of you. Thank you. And the topic today this week is called Challenge Check-In. And the suggestion is that to take the time, maybe a time to pause, to take time to have this checklist to go through, to find out how you are, what's going on. Not only is it useful to really understand and feel, discover how we are, but it's also a reframing. It's a changing of perspective from the usual way of checking in with ourselves or knowing ourselves to something that is dharmic, something that the Buddha recommended. It's really productive and useful for becoming disentangled from our life, from ourselves. And oftentimes it's easy that the common way of being in the world, of knowing ourselves, is through the filter of our desires, our fears, our aversions, our confusions, our strains, our resistances, and so we can take the whole package of who we are and subject it to generalized opinions, generalized idea about who I am, what's going on. And maybe one of the most general the kind of judgment we can have about ourselves, so we can live under, can be a real challenge, is all the things that goes under the category, I am bad, I am wrong. And not so obvious, but all the ways in which we live under the category, I am right, I am good, can be also limiting for who we are. And one way it limits us, it keeps us from seeing more deeply what's going on within us underneath those generalizations. And to see more directly and deeply. And so the Buddha's what I'm calling the Buddha's checklist, is a way of dropping below the generalizations, below the kind of belief and judgments we have. And this is a phenomenally generous thing to do to ourselves, to free ourselves from the generalizations, from the judgments, from the ideas we kind of struggle under, that represent being entangled, that represent being kind of being caught up and excessively concerned about something, and when we take the time to stop to do this checklist, check-in, then we're actually stepping out of the strong winds that are pushing us along. We're stepping off the conveyor belt sidewalk that's walking along in some building, and we're not being carried along anymore. We're stopping to take a step back and see what's happening here. And in a way that we can't see if we're carried along, if we're caught up in what's happening in these generalizations or the feelings we have. And so to check in, how am I in my body? What's happening here? If you're tense and you didn't know it, maybe it's useful to relax. Check in with the feeling tones. Is this experience really unpleasant? Or is it really pleasant? And if you're caught up in the unpleasant, is that the full story? Is there pleasure here as well? Or is there some shift of orientation? Is the unpleasantness more product of my own mind, my own mind's reactivity, than it is in the activity that I'm in? Checking in with the state of the mind. Is it contracted or is it expansive? And then today, the fourth foundation of the Buddha is the mental processes in the mind. In some ways, they're not too different. They're kind of overlapping with the third foundation. And so the activities, the processes, the operating principles that are driving the mind or supporting the mind, what are they? And so so the Buddha gave a list of the 5 hindrances, and he also gave a list for the 7 factors of awakening. And the 5 hindrances are ways of being that are sticky, entangled, knotted up with experience. And the Buddha uses the word knotted up in terms of how we can get caught up in stuff. And then the 7 factors of awakening, how we loosen, how we untie, how we become clear. The 5 hindrances are considered things that hinder our ability to see clearly. The 7 factors of awakening are what supports us to see clearly. So certainly if you know these things, you can kind of check in with yourself, which of these are operating? Someone who does a lot of vipassana practice should really be kind of second nature to notice what are the hindrances when they're operating. And also, even in subtle ways in which the 7 factors of awakening operate for us. But for today, what I would like to say is noticing if how we're involved in anything at all, involved in thoughts, involved in activities in the world, involved in conversations. Do we feel entangled in it? Do we feel caught in it and in such a way that there's an ouch? Or do we feel expansive in it, open in it? are we agitated? Is the energy kind of activated, and or is the energy that, or the feeling, energy feeling of it, one of being suffused? And this has something to do with the source. The seven factors of these, the fourth foundation is the source from which so much of our behavior arises out of. The hindrances are behavior that arises out of a source, which is very limited and very tight and narrow and constricted or entangled. Maybe what arises out of the seven factor of awakening is also energetic, but it's an energy which is not entangled or agitated or activated, but rather an energy or a vitality in the body that feels like it suffuses us. It spreads more widely. It's the difference between being in a tornado versus being in a really relaxing pool of water. So both of them can be energetic in a way, these two states, but the quality of the energy, the quality of the activation, or the quality of the how we're engaged, how we are with our experience, how we're attentive, is radically different. So so what are the mental processes involved? Are they the hindrances, or are they more the seven factors of awakening? And are they more something that feels unpleasant to be how we're involved? More like fight or flight? The hindrances could be analyzed from the point of view of fight, flight, or freeze. Not completely, but it's a little bit. And the seven factors of awakening can be more like relax, nurture, soothe, approach. So the operating principles of the mind that are the source from how we see the world, how we are in the world. So this change of perspective, this check-in that we're doing, comes to the point where the check-in itself is contributing to a positive way of being present, a positive kind of more something that leans in the direction of seven factors of awakening. So part of the value of this mindfulness check-in is that in and of its, on one hand we're learning how we are, we're learning to see ourselves from a different point of view. And on the other hand, we are bringing into the ecosystem a healthy way of being present and seeing and checking in that is not entangled, not caught up. So both of these work together, and both of them are important. Changing the perspective of how we see ourselves when we're challenged, using the perspective of these four different areas of what's happening for us. And it's kind of like bringing an adult into the room of a lot of teenagers kind of having a fight or something. It's kind of like bringing a wise elder into the mix. Using the check-in is bringing into the ecosystem a new way of being. And the whole ecosystem can change by that introduction. Just simply stopping and checking in and maybe going through these four. How am I physically? How am I, feeling tone? How am I in my mind state? How am I by the underlying processes of how I'm involved, how I'm concerned? So for today, what I'd like to suggest for you is that through the day, periodically, maybe if you like schedules, you can schedule it once an hour or some way or other. Do some take some quality time. It doesn't have to be long. Maybe it can be 2 minutes to stop, maybe even close your eyes, check in with yourself using these four different check-ins. But notice as you do it or when you've done it, if the check-in itself, the attention that we bring that is looking at ourselves in this way, has that in fact introduced something nice into the system? Is the check-in itself more like a wise elder has entered the room and everyone relaxes and feels, oh good, there's someone here who is wise, someone here who helps me to be present. See what the effect is on you of introducing the mindfulness check-in that we're talking about this week. So thank you very much, and look forward to tomorrow.